fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. I got the man on. I wasn't going to do an episode today, but my man Mike Caref is out beating the streets, man. He's all over the place right now. He's got something coming up Sunday, and so I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, man, if you want to come on and give it a shout out, you're more than welcome to, because it's extremely important what he's talking about." And so he said, yeah, he wanted to come on and take a couple of minutes and tell everybody what's going on this next Sunday. So, Mike, I'm going to let you do that, brother, and we might chit-chat just a little bit, but 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you need to go, man, an hour, whatever. It's all yours, but just tell the people what's up.
Hour three?
That's my 5 minutes.
Well, the first thing, so we're having this nationwide rap session via Zoom. It'll be next Sunday, or this Sunday coming up, I guess, September the 8th. It feels like Sunday today, but it's actually Monday, the Labor Day holiday, and hope everyone really had a chance to enjoy their holiday. But we want to talk about the contract and what we can do to make sure that we get the best possible contract that we can. And that'll be the main focus of the rap session. It's possible that we'll have a tentative agreement by Sunday. I would rate that as highly doubtful. If someone wanted to play some odds, I would take that easy money, I think. But if there is a tentative agreement, obviously we'll talk about the pros and the cons and the terms and all of that. But most likely we won't. And what plans we can make in light of the resolution that passed at the convention that calls for more transparency, for sharing of information that that we haven't had since the convention. There was a video that President Renfroe put out this morning, but once again, it still does not contain any information whatsoever about what the details of the contract are looking like. What is it that we require to be in there? So, if you go back, and I won't do the rap session here before the rap session, but if you go back, Corey, to the episode that you and I did, I came on February 19th, I believe it was, 2023. And I talked about negotiations were going to begin on February 22nd. And I tried to lay out, hey, here's all the things that are going to be important to us in this contract negotiations that are coming. And the problem with the way the president has gone about this, in addition to the unnecessary delays, which in this type of economic environment, the delays have hurt us tremendously. The fact that we are not getting raises, the fact that we can't afford our uniforms, the fact that, the cost of living has gone up so high while our wages are stagnant. Those things have hurt us tremendously. The delay has hurt us, but also the lack of transparency. We don't know, and we can't determine if our union is addressing the issues that are, some of them are not economic, but need to be addressed. But like, for example, we don't want a non-career workforce. We don't want any CCAs. We want all career workforce. Are we going to get that in the new contract? We don't know. Are we going to get an end to mandatory overtime for full-time regulars that don't want to get on the overtime desire list? Are we going to get that in the new contract? Are we going to get any fix whatsoever to the grievance procedure that is completely broken right now? And it don't matter what contract you negotiate, if you can't enforce the terms of the contract through a workable grievance procedure, then it doesn't work. So there's a lot of things that we're looking for that we just have no idea. So the part of the resolution, and the first speaker at the rap session is going to be Josh Brault. Branch 1779 had submitted, as Lakeland, Florida. They had submitted a resolution to the convention that was approved, that passed at the convention. And that resolution calls for updates on the members only portal for the members of the union. And that resolution also calls for us to be active in mobilizing the membership with public rallies and things like that. So he's going to be the first speaker. He's going to lay out the resolution, and then we're going to go from there and discuss, how we're going to implement those things that are the, that are the NALC's position. Because once it passes the convention, it's no longer just Josh's opinion and my opinion and your opinion. It is the position of the NALC. And let me say this, the rap session is not, obviously the campaign, Caref for Prez is putting on the rap session, but it's open to everyone. And no matter who you think should be the president, we want everyone to gather, and we want everyone in the NALC to feel welcome, no matter who it is you're supporting for president in 2026. Everybody in this union needs to come together around the fight for a strong contract for the letter carriers, because we definitely deserve it. So Josh Brault's the first speaker. Then I think next would be Tyler Vasseur, who is heading up the building of Fighting NALC. They're the ones that really put the whole open bargaining on the radar. Also, they just passed motion in Branch 9, Minneapolis, which is his branch, where they send a letter to President Renfroe. So we're going to get copy of the letter. We're going to show you guys what the letter says. We'll give you a template so that either individuals or branches can send a similar type letter, or kind of whatever you want. We'll send it to you in a Word form, so you can, write whatever you want in the thing. So he'll speak. Then we have David Grosskopf. He's the president in Branch 3, Buffalo. He's going to speak, and he's going to talk about some of the rallies that have already happened. So if we're planning a day of action, which is, I think, what the general consensus is, what we should do when we have the day of action, he's going to give us an idea of some of the rallies that have already taken place, and also some of the signs and slogans and just some of the nuts and bolts of the rally. My president, Elise Foster, is going to come on. She'll give you guys details on some of the rallies we've had previously in Chicago, and how she's going to do this one, getting other people involved in the rallies, either other local branches, other unions, getting the media involved, make sure that it's a very public type of thing. And then Grosskopf is going to go into detail on the signs, how to get them to the printer, how to make sure you get the message out, and that kind of thing. And then we got Tom, I can't pronounce his name, but when he says his name, then we'll know how to say his name. I do that all the time, Corey. I'll say, hey, I'm Mike Caref. And they say, oh, Caref, man, I've been looking to meet you for a long time. And I'm like, oh, well.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But the brother's last name is Cser. So, Cser, so, whatever. Whatever he says it is. But he's going to do a little presentation. And all the speakers are going to be kind of brief. And I'll tell you guys how we're going to do this in a minute. But he's going to give a presentation on mobilizing the members to participate in any election, meaning a union election like the one we're going to have in 2026, or even the ratification vote. If we get a tentative agreement, one of the things that's taken so damn long that there's a certain segment of us, and all of us kind of, and I really hate the president. You probably don't even listen to his podcast, but he had the You Are the Current Resident podcast, and right around the beginning of the year, so like 8-9 months ago, he was telling everyone on the podcast how impatient he was and how urgent, I'm as impatient as you, and it was like, dude, you're killing us here, you're telling us you're impatient, but you're showing us that, this thing can go on forever. But I think a lot of our members have been kind of lulled to sleep, and it's like, once we get this tentative agreement, if we actually do get one, let's take some time and look at it, and let's compare what it is versus what it is that we want, and figure out, is it sufficient? So part of that is making sure that the members, have the right address so they can get their ballot and they can vote in the ratification thing. So, and then two other speakers. One is Vice President James Henry. He's going to come on, and then you're coming on, Corey Walton, and you asked me what. Yeah, did you know that? Did you know you were coming on?
Am I last?
That's the plan, and you asked me what it is you were going to speak about, and I said, well, he inspires, he fights,
Just play my intro. Should I just play my intro music?
Let's just do what you do best. But you and James will obviously hear all the speakers, and so you can kind of wrap it up, summarize things, and then I'll come out in the end. But every speaker, the way we're going to do it, because there's going to be hundreds of people on there, we're not going to like call on everyone who's on the call like normally a rap session, like anyone can talk. But this is over Zoom, so what we're going to do is while the people are speaking, anyone can put a comment or a question in the chat room, and then I'll engage with that speaker. But we're going to try to keep everyone to about 5 minutes or so, because really I want the thing to be about an hour. And I know that, sometimes these things get long-winded, but not talking about anyone in particular.
You're talking to the wrong one, baby. My hour will become 3.
Right. Well, there's something going on, and I didn't even think about it when we planned it, but we're going to kick this thing off at kickoff. Incidentally, a little pun there, play on words, but the kickoff for the rap session is 11 a.m. Central Time, and football, NFL, baby, that starts at noon Central Time, an hour later. So I'm going to do everything I can to keep us within an hour. We're
going to lose membership. We're going to lose some attendees.
Hey, look, I already thought about how, sometimes people go to church on Sundays, but, they can put the earpiece in. They'll be fine. They can still listen in. But, the football, that's going to take up a lot of people's attention. But I think we could do it in an hour. If we're well organized, then we kind of lay the thing out. So that's the plan. You have to, register. You have to register in order to receive the link from Zoom. And the registrations, it's a real simple form, who are you, what branch, that kind of thing, your contact information. But there's also a place in there for comments. So I'm going to read all of the comments ahead of time so that I'll be prepared to kind of, say things and interject. And I'm just going to try to take everything into consideration as we do the rap session. And then, obviously it's not the end all be all, but at the end of the thing, all of the materials, all the thing, and we'll record it. So we'll record it so anyone can listen to it later, or go back and review or whatever, and we'll, share that with everybody. And then any materials that we talk about, or any documents or anything we put up on the screen, that will be available, through the website. You can go later and download any of that stuff or look at it or whatever. So that's the plan, my brother. That's the plan for this Sunday.
How can we get to this link? Send me the link, and I can put it up on my stuff. But somebody listening, they want to get on here. Where can I get the link? Where can I go to this link?
You can go yourself to careforprez.org and find the link to the rap session. But every time we post about it, we always put the link to the registration form in the comments. So we're recording this, you and I, right now. So obviously it'll play on the From A to Arbitration podcast, but we'll also have this recording, which you'll have the link. You can put it in your show notes, and also I'll have the link and put it in the comments, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, send it to me.
It's not hard to find the link.
Yeah, well, it be.
Well, I don't think it'll be hard. I'll tell you guys, there's 281 people registered so far.
Okay.
So 281 of your brothers and sisters figured it out.
Well, you got to figure it out. I'll tell on myself here. I start this Zoom meeting with Mike, and I'm like, where is he? And I look on my phone, and it says Caref was in the meeting. And I'm like, he's not in this meeting. I'm in the wrong meeting.
Yeah.
So,
what meeting? He's in the meeting. What meeting?
Yeah, I got a whole different Zoom meeting going on that's not yours. And so I'm like, where is he at? And so it may not be as easy as you say for everybody. So I'll make sure that I put those links up on all my stuff. Go to Caref for Prez. Mike, it's been 471 days, baby. 471 days today.
That's since May 20th?
Yeah. And there's so much more to it. And I know that we'll talk about all of this Sunday. But you talk about CCAs. I pray that they do away with that position and have an all
Exactly.
career workforce. I just think that he's going to sell them out. And that's just between me and you and everybody listens
Well,
to us.
and that's why I hate the closed bargaining, or
Yeah.
the opposite of transparency. I
Yeah.
mean, and I trust me, I understand the whole. Sometimes you can't publicize everything, but when the elected officers of the union, the people on the executive council, even the number 2 and the number 3, like you could go as high up as you want in the union, and they can't tell you, even if they wanted to, what is being discussed and what is being agreed to. And like at this point, if we're close, that means that we've agreed to something and we're just finishing up some final things. But if we have, what have we agreed to, and is it something that we're going to be able to support? So I don't know. I remember, I talked to President Renfroe about this contract back in January, February of 2023. And, he was saying, you're out there, and because I went on your podcast, and he's like, how do you think that helps? And I say, look, I'm trying to lay the groundwork for a contract that is going to be, something that we can all get behind. It's going to be something that's good for the union. And he made a comment. He said, I don't want expectations to be too high, and I just, yeah, he said it. And that's, you see how this process has played out, and it's almost beat us into submission. At this point, it's like, just give us the damn contract. I don't care what it is, we're going to get a raise, just give it to us, whatever it is. But
I always talk about management conditioning us. I say that all the time about things that they do. They're conditioning us to accept things. Hell, we're being conditioned by our own president. Back in Boston, he was saying it was hours away. Am I wrong?
He did.
He's saying,
any hour, and it's hour by hour. I might have to break away from the convention, to whatever.
And then you hear that, and if I'm wrong, tell me. He goes, they lock themselves down in this room. They have this, we're going in here, we're not coming out without an agreement. And he leaves a couple of those days to go to the AFL-CIO, right?
Yeah, the week they had that lockdown, that supposedly lockdown at the hotel, they had AFL-CIO meetings. There was something else that happened that week that he broke away for,
Well, then he has the APW convention, then he go there, and then the Rural Carriers convention, he goes there. And I don't care about anybody golfing, but people are up in this uproar about him going to this one region that kisses his ass and does this golfing and stuff. That's fine. It's all about optics right now, man, to me. You've got to understand as the leader the optics of these things, where you have people, we got carriers living in their cars. They're living in their cars because they can't make a living wage. And I've said this before, you have branches
people are quitting the job left and right. The fact that people are quitting the job, and the fact that the Postal Service is, in my opinion, losing. They're not gaining new revenue, and they're bloated. They waste a ton of money. Every year they've been reporting bigger and bigger losses. And you're like, at what point are we going to try to fix some of the fundamental problems that exist here? And all of that is part of your collective bargaining process. And you just don't have a lot of confidence that that's what's happening here as this thing drags on and on and on and on.
We're having to force them to represent us. Like you just said, what good does that do us with you coming on here, with him saying that? What benefit is that? What good is that? So you don't want me to tell the people who pay your salary what's going on? I don't understand this. The carriers don't need to know what's going on up here. We run this thing.
Yeah.
The carriers do run this. I don't understand that.
And so here's the ironic thing about this whole thing. Is like, okay, so you've been kind of going at this alone, this contract negotiation. This whole process has been your staff that works for you and the post office, right? And we know you haven't been like, going at it every single day, 24/7, but to the extent you've been going at it, which obviously there's some talks going on, right? To the extent you've been going at it, you've been going at it alone without the input of, the whole union, the elected representatives that are on the executive council or whatever, right? You've been going at this alone. So now you come back and you say, I got you guys a contract. Well, how the hell do you know that's the contract that we want? How do you know that that contract is going to be acceptable to the members of the NALC? I mean, there's people that have all different levels of expectation, and a lot of them are going to be disappointed by the terms of the contract. And that's their right, that's their right as a union to say, so what if you come back with a tentative agreement and we don't like it and we vote no? Now you've delayed this thing even further down the road, because now you have to go back and schedule arbitration dates because the members of the union are telling you that what you've negotiated is not sufficient. And that's really why this process has not been fair to the members of the union and has not been a good, productive process. But honestly, man, at the wrap session, I'm going to try to avoid all of that. And what we want to talk about is, what can we do now at this point? We can't rewind the clock. The damage has been done. We can do a little recap of the damage just so everyone knows where we're at. But here's where we're at as of this day. The wrap session will be September the 8th, 2024. Here's where we're at. Here's what we can do. Here's the resolution that passed at the convention. Here's what we can do as a follow-up to this resolution. And here's why we think it'll help, move this thing forward. And that's what we're going to do, man. That's what we're going to talk about.
I think that, and I hope that I'm wrong, Mike, I think that if you starve somebody so long, you can convince them to eat anything. And when you have this delay and it's not what you want, and it's not something that you're going to say that the people are not going to like this. You delay it so long, the carriers get so hungry for money, any kind of money, that they will buy anything. They will eat anything. And instead of looking at it, they can say, hey, I at least got you a 5% raise. That's probably going to pass. People not even looking at what's going on. The CCA position would be a killer to me. I would not vote for that. If it's,
I wouldn't either. If we don't fix the grievance procedure, and if we still have a substantial non-career workforce, those are no's for me. Those are not.
Well, hell, you had to fight at the convention to try them to do what they're supposed to do. I mean, that's how bizarre all of this administration is.
But you can talk to union stewards and branch officers and just any person who's filed a grievance in the last 2 years, and they'll tell you that the delays are killing them. No matter what, these grievances are not being addressed in a timely manner, meaning that they're not being addressed. You need a prompt resolution to your issue when you file a grievance. And when you don't get that, there's an inherent harm in that. And if you go into contract negotiations and you don't fix that obvious problem, then the harm continues. But I think that part of this meeting is getting us all organized, and so, like I said, we have 281 people registered. I hope that we have 1,000 people registered, and I hope that they're from 800 different branches all over the country, so that when and if we do get a tentative agreement, we'll be prepared to discuss it and really try to make a decision as a union. Is this the best we can get? Is this contract in our best interest, or should we force this thing to arbitration? Because that'll be our right, and that's something that we can control. And if we're organized and we make sure people are participating, then we'll be able to have some say in the outcome of what happens. And it won't just be left up to President Renfroe. He won't be the only person that has a decision, and that we all will. So,
well, I think the union needs to get back to being the alpha. And we're not. Management controls. The Postal Service is dictating what we do, and they've done that since this president has been in there. You can see it through the grievance procedure. You can see it through this contract, these negotiations. You're on day, what is it, 471?
71.
You go into it kind of knowing where you're at.
And that's not 471 of negotiation. Add 90 days to that. The negotiation started 90 days prior to the expiration of the contract,
Yeah, that's been the expiration was 471. Yeah. And so, at some point you draw that line in the sand and you say, and this day's here, we're going to, we've got this arbitrator. We're going to schedule, we hadn't even scheduled a date.
Yep.
You know, you say we're going to schedule a date. We can still negotiate through that. We haven't any scheduled a date. You know, you schedule a date on like day 200, you know, because obviously we've come to an impasse. We can't agree. And here we are, 471. I think that he knows it's a shit thing, and I pray that I'm wrong. He said, I think he said it was historic somewhere. I don't know. There's so
He
much.
was, he was on the Region 7 rap session last week, and he said we were gonna like it. Basically, they're just tying up some loose ends, and you're like, all right, you know, when's it
I
gonna
hope
happen?
he's right. I hope he's right. I'll give him credit for that. He's still going to be voted out coming 2026. He's gone. Nothing can save him from that. But the carriers deserve the best contract we've ever had. It's nothing that he's done. It's the things that the carriers have done in this entire period of time. We should be rewarded for that. And you know,
coming out of the pandemic, with the
yeah,
job being as dangerous as it is now, and just with the fact that the economy has gone up in the sense that workers' wages are going up, it really can't be anything less than an historic, you know, win
yeah,
for us.
yeah.
The question is it what we deserve, and is it sufficient for us and for the Postal Service? You know, because we want the Postal Service to be strong. We want the Postal Service to have a good structure. And what they're doing right now is not working, man. They're spending so much money on overtime. They're spending so much money on grievance settlements. So many people are quitting the job. The retention rate is bad. There's so much ill will and antagonism that goes on the workroom floor. You know, these are things that need to be fixed. And that's the whole purpose of having collective bargaining. And, you know, they're not being fixed. But I would like to say, Mr. David Noble, and he's come on your podcast once, I think. But anyway, he's been talking about how we need to get 300 additional arbitrators to hear grievances. And he's right. And that's something when you get into collective bargaining, you say, okay, how, you know, you have a dispute resolution process that the post office has been kicking the can. They don't want to resolve it at informal A. They don't want to resolve it at formal A. They don't want to resolve it at step B. At some point, you have to be able to get the resolution that you're looking for, the contractually correct resolution. And one of those ways is say, okay, well, let's just do damn arbitrations every day from now until eternity, you know, until you call uncle, until you agree that, you know, you're going to go ahead and do the right thing, you know, until you change your practice and your culture and your structure so that grievances are resolved at the lowest level the way they're supposed to. You know, you have to be able to kind of hit them over the head. And that's one way of doing it. You know, he's definitely not wrong about that.
Well, I said this a year ago on the podcast. We have to weaponize arbitration again.
Right.
You know, Mike, we used to do that. Oh yeah. Yeah. They were terrified of it in Region 8.
Yeah.
Trust me, baby. I mean, I was in there, you know, 4 or 5 times a month, just me. And we weaponized, Pete Moss weaponized that when he was business agent. He knew the importance of that. And they were terrified of it. And now look, like I said, they dictate to us what goes on now. And that's a perfect example. And we let them. The fact that they fought you at the national convention over what you had proposed tells you everything that you need to know. And the fact that he was so dishonest during that vote, and you and I talked about it when you came on, how he was so dishonest during that vote, just, you know, it was almost like he was hating to concede that they were going to have to go to national arbitration over something that we should have done anyway. You know,
that's what I want to see, you know, and it's all of us coming together. But if he two things, if he presents us with a tentative agreement, we need to be prepared to give an honest assessment of that tentative agreement. Just because you say it's a good contract as the president doesn't mean that we're going to say it's a good contract. And then if you continue to drag your feet, what are we going to do to address the fact that you work for us as our president and you're not, you know, moving this thing along, which is obviously what is in our interest at this point. So either way, we got to be active. We got to be mobilized. We got to start by just talking about it and figure out what we're going to do. So that's what's going to happen at the rap session, man. I hope everyone can make it. I would try to keep it within an hour. That's 11 o'clock Central Time, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. 9 o'clock Pacific time and 10 o'clock if you're in the Rocky Mountains.
All
I
right,
don't know
baby.
who else has that time. But yeah, man. And
I'll-
you'll be there. You'll be
I'm gonna
there.
I'll be the caboose.
Exactly.
I'm
It's
gonna,
gonna be great.
I'm going to inspire, and I will send me those links.
Yeah, I'll send
put
you
them
the sign up form for sure.
All right, baby. Well, I appreciate you coming on, my man, telling everybody. I'm like you. I hope that we have 10,000 people on there. I think that the city letter carrier needs to start making a stand, and it can start Sunday.
Sounds good, my brother. Happy
All right,
Labor
my
Day.
man.
everyone.
All right, same to you, baby. I'll holler at you later, Mike.
All right, thanks, man.
See you, brother. Bye.
Yep.